Coming to you live Thursday. It's around 6 o'clock. Sage, we were going to start off talk about the AFC NFC Championship games that are going to be coming up on Sunday, but we got some news. And we had to bring it up first. So it seems like he's coming back, man. Robert Saleh, according to Diana Rossini and Mike Silver, is returning as the 49ers defensive coordinator. Sage, it was kind of getting held up because a lot of people thought that he was going to go take that Jacksonville Jaguars job, but then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, so it seems like he didn't want to go there, or not him. So it seems like Liam Cohn, really wanted the job. He didn't want to work with Balky. So
dude, so much drama right here. This is actually, this is probably the biggest this league moment in the NFL all season. I swear to God.
So they asked him for a second interview. He declines it, says he's going to stay with Tampa. They fire Balky yesterday morning. And then today he accepts a second interview. Saleh realizes he's probably done there. So he said he's going to go talk to the Niners instead, right? So he cancels his interview, and now he's interviewing a second time with the Niners. Seems like that's pretty much wrapped up in a bow.
But Sage, the even crazier part about that is that basically while he was talking with Jacksonville the first time, while Trent Baalke was there, Tampa Bay wanted him bad. They were telling him on the side, they're like, we'll make you the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league, even higher than Ben Johnson, right? So they send him over the contract to make him the highest paid offensive coordinator in the league. Then he finds out that Trent Baalke gets fired. Tampa Bay doesn't hear from him for like 24 hours. They can't find him. They don't know where he's at, not responding to any of their calls. Then they find out via Adam Schefter that he's in Jacksonville, locking up the contract to become the Jaguars head coach. So seems like Trevor Lawrence has got its guy, man. Dirty business.
It's a dirty business. No, it seems like Mac Jones got his guy. I don't know about Trevor, but
you think Mac Jones is a starter now over there?
Nah, I'm kidding. I mean, you look at someone like Josh, right? Like someone, in the same system, constantly going through offensive coordinators, he could adapt. Someone like Trevor, he's just been thrown into the garbage. He has that rotating door, but he can't overcome it. This is kind of his last chance. We saw what he was. He's kind of, going backwards. They gave him the money, but he hasn't really played up to the contract. This is it, right? Like, we know what Liam Cohn's capable of. He did it with Baker. He put together a really good offense, even when guys were going down. So I think this is kind of like the last straw with Trevor. Like, I really do. I always said, like, I'd take a chance on him as a Niner fan. If he flames out with BTJ, with that offensive mind, I really don't know. Like, I think it might be time to, like, officially call him a bust.
I mean, his Jaguars career was on life support already, I thought. I mean, he's ran through how many coaches? What is this, 2 or 3 coaches?
This is number 2, yeah.
Yeah, and they signed him to that big deal a couple years ago. Either he's not been on the field or he's been playing like shit the entire time since he signed that deal. So, yeah, right now I think you have to say that Trevor Lawrence is a bust, but he's got Liam Cohen. But like you were getting to, Sage, now that Liam Cohen is not going to be the Jaguar, or that he's going to be the Jaguars head coach, that took Robert Saleh out of the entire argument. And basically right away, they said that, like I said, Mike Silver reported that Saleh is going to be coming back to be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. So
he did include, though, if he doesn't take a head coaching job, but it doesn't seem likely he's going to get one anywhere
What other
else.
Jobs? What is it? Raiders?
I think it seems like the Saints are pretty much married to Joe Brady. So I don't think that one's happening. Dude, the Raiders one's weird. He's like 20-1 to land with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are looking at Dion and
no, they're not. Are they really? The Raiders are going to go for Dion?
I think it's a Brady thing, to be honest. Like, Brady's been mentoring Shador. They have like a good enough pick. I don't get it. Who else is there? I mean, the Cowboys, God knows who's going to take that one. I mean, I could honestly see it just ending up being Belichick. Like, Belichick pulling that slime.
Belichick's not going to do that, man. He's already said. So Jordan Hudson, his girlfriend, is like, 23-year-old girlfriend, said that they're locked in North Carolina. So, Sage, I don't think that's happening. I think Belichick's there to stay in Chapel Hill. But
so, yeah, I'm running out of options, though. It seems like it's like imminent, like it's going to happen. I mean, the Niners are going to welcome him back with open arms. You see what one bad hire can do to your franchise. You're in a corner, obviously. You don't have a direction to go. You go with a guy like Nick Sorensen, screws you up for an entire year. Like, literally screws up the defense for an entire year. You can't overcome it. Bring back someone. He's going to run your system. The players love him. The fans love him. I mean, the coaching staff loves him. Kyle trusts him. He's a sideline dog. He brings that energy. So it could have been a lot worse. And I don't think it could have been much better. So as an Irish fan, this is a huge win. It's an insanely great offseason that they got going on. The momentum is building. You get Sorensen out of there. You get Schneider out of there, right? Jake Moody's about to be gone. And now you bring back a guy like Saleh. So all that's left is to sign some free agents, and you really got it going.
I mean, Sage, I don't think anybody's more connected to the 49ers than Mike Silver. And I think he posted a tweet. It said, basically, all systems go. And it was just him, a photo of him with Robert Saleh when he was a defensive coordinator. So he's back. Robert Saleh is going to be back. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Sage. I mean, we've seen him be a successful defensive coordinator for the 49ers. He runs that wide 9 system. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's got to be hard as a rock that he's going to keep that wide 9. You know that he's happy with that. But so I'm looking at the defensive ranks right now.
Would you have been interested in Pete Carroll?
That was
I saw yesterday.
I did not know why that was coming up with Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Anyways, go for it. What were you going to read?
No, but so Sage, you brought it up. What one bad hire could do to an organization. So as we all know, the 49ers hired Nick Sorensen last year. Sage, they were the 29th ranked defense when it comes to points per game. And Robert Saleh, 4 years, 25th in 2017, 2018, 28th, 2019, 7th, 2020, 17th. I think that what we're all going to remember with Robert Saleh is that 2019 defense where the 49ers went 13-3, went to the Super Bowl. They had that great D-line. They had young guys like Fred Warner. They had Richard Sherman, who I think that was his first year on the 49ers coming over from the Seahawks. So he did have a legit defense that year, Sage. And I am excited. But what I will say is that we've seen Robert Saleh be a bad head coach. I've seen him have bad defenses on the 49ers. And I think that it's more a personnel issue. So I'm excited that we actually have somebody in there who has experience being a defensive coordinator, unlike Nick Sorensen. I always liked that Robert Saleh ran a nice system. I
don't want to be a hater.
He had a good coaching staff and everything. Like you said, he brought the energy on the sidelines, but I just don't think it's I don't think it's a one thing fix here with the 49ers defense. They still got so much more shit that they have to do.
He was a bad head coach. I'm not going to say he wasn't a bad head coach.
Terrible.
He was terrible with like the emotion aspect, the time management, putting together and leading the roster. I get that, but his defense when he was there was always overperforming. You saw what they were as soon as he left. They were nothing. But even last year, right? Like everyone was saying, like if Rodgers played, man, they had a top 10 defense, whatever it was. 2 years ago, they won 7 games with Zach Wilson, who was a complete bust. No real offense at all. They got a guy like Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, like, okay, with that defense, right, and Aaron Rodgers, they can him early. The defense just falls ass backwards. The offense can't hold it up enough. So you kind of see, like, he was kind of holding that team together when they had nothing on offense. The defense performed well. Like, they'd hold guys like Josh Allen to low games. Like, there was that game last year where they played Mahomes on Thursday Night Football where he slid at the 5-yard line and took a bow. Like, they held him to 12 points. They overperformed a lot. You didn't see that this year as soon as he left. So if there is one bright spot about his tenure, it's that the defense did always overperform, and it seemed like the guys loved him.
So do we know if he was calling plays, though? Because sometimes
he had to be. It went so bad.
No, but think about it. So Jeff Ulbrich was a defensive coordinator. Then he became the head coach. Did Jeff Ulbrich just lose play calling duties, and that's what messed up the defense? I'm just being the devil's advocate here because I honestly don't know.
You could say that, but I don't think so. I mean, it's like the people, and Chase, you're going to agree with me here. It's the people who'd say it's Eric Bieniemy's offense. You know, like when he was with the Chiefs.
That's a good point. That's a good point, yeah.
It was never Eric Bieniemy's offense. People just wanted to make it a thing to get a sexy new name out there. It's always Andy Reid's offense. It was always Robert Saleh's offense. You see it, what's going on in Miami. It was never Mike McDaniels calling up the plays. It was always a Kyle Shanahan thing. There's a reason his coaches, other than D'Amico, are flaming out everywhere. It's always the guy at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is good news for the 49ers, but I'm just looking at that. I'm looking at that interior D-line, Sage, and Robert Saleh is known as a wide 9 guy. He doesn't blitz either. So everybody who was pissed off about Nick Sorensen and how he didn't make any adjustments, didn't send any blitzes, you're not going to get that with Robert Saleh. So if we're rolling out Jordan Elliott and fucking Malik Collins again at interior D-line, I don't know what we're going to be able to do here. Sage, they were trying to get the Brandon Staley train rolling there for a second there. Did you see that all over Twitter?
No.
So it was really quick.
To bring him back? Oh, yeah. Oh, Brandon, I was thinking Sorensen.
So they were trying to prop him up because I think they were thinking that Saleh was going to get that Jaguars job. The past couple of days, you've been seeing a lot of posts coming out. Like I said, from Mike Silver, somebody who's very connected to the 49ers front office. He showed like a interview from Diamador Lenore in July where he said, oh, yeah, Brandon Staley's a genius. It's like having Kyle on defense. So he was doing that, and just bringing up a couple other things about how Brandon Staley was so impactful with that Rams defense that won the Super Bowl. So if Robert Saleh, if this thing didn't fall through where Liam Cohen ended up getting the Jacksonville Jaguars job, it seemed like Brandon Staley was going to be the option, and that would have been a fucking train wreck.
That's what I mean. Like, okay, I don't want to. I'm going to knock on wood because obviously it's not official yet, but that was option B. It was Pete Carroll or that, right? So I'm just saying, like, it's never perfect, but it could always be worse. You saw it as in always worse. Look at the last year. Look at this past year. That's when I mean it could always be worse. So be happy. You got a guy who's proven he could have a top 5 defense. The guys love, the team loves, and the fans love. So I'm just glad to have him back. What does scare me is he did get some consideration as a head coach. And I just want to have what the Chiefs have, man. I just want to have a defensive coordinator who flamed out as a head coach that no one's ever going to want to poach because they know he sucks as a head coach. Hopefully that never happens. Teams are going to look, to the young, sexy offensive minds. Stay away from a guy like Robert Saleh. He can stay with the Niners for forever. Because I just think you got to give him time, man. Like, let him grow with that defense. Hired him in 2017. By 2019, he had a top 5 defense. So I'm happy with it. I really am happy with it.
And I mean, you had the big dogs on the defense like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. They haven't been shy. Like Steve Wilkes, when he was struggling, when he was calling defensive plays from the booth, they said shit in the press. They said, we're used to a guy, honestly, like Robert Saleh, like D'Amico Ryans, a guy who gets fired up on the sidelines. So you're going to get that back. And I think that part of it is that he's very comfortable with Kyle Shanahan. So Kyle Shanahan likes that. He runs his own system. And everybody in that locker room is going to respect him.
So that's the big thing, right? Like, I genuinely don't think, like, you never saw a guy go to war for Sorensen. He had his feet to the fire. Like, you saw everyone went after him. You never saw one guy speak up for him. One guy, like how Lamar had Mark Andrews back. No one had Nick Sorensen's back. He didn't even have his own back. He never knew what to say. He said, It was a communication error. It was a communication error. Dude didn't know what he was talking about. Everyone was done with him. I mean, that was the fastest hire or the fastest fire of the offseason. Dude was gone by Monday.
Brian Schneider was
by an hour.
But everybody knew. I mean, literally right after the Cardinals game, we said, is this guy getting fired right now? Do we let him take like a 5-day vacation and
they let him have
news? Because he's gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, him, Chris Boyd, like there were some guys that were just on the offseason, like fastest drop list.
Just like right to Cancun or Galveston. So, like I said, man. I mean, this is good news. Does it automatically fix the 49ers defense? People are going to say that. I don't think it does, but the Nick Sorensen project was a nightmare. We had a lot of fears coming into the season. We said, this guy has no experience as a defensive coordinator. His entire history is in the special teams and ball security drills, maybe coaching the secondary up a little bit. So to get a guy who's been a proven great defensive coordinator like Robert Saleh, a guy with experience on the 49ers, you got to love that. But please, I mean, they need to hit free agency hard. They need to hit the draft hard. They need to build up that D-line stage because I don't care if you get Bill Belichick and Buddy Ryan side by side to coach that fucking defense. It won't work if you don't fix up that D-line next to Nick Bosa, in my opinion.
I mean, come on. It's obvious, right? I mean, that D-line's garbage. We said it. We said coming into this year, there a Nick Bosa injury, a Nick Bosa missed game away from it falling to shit. You saw what it was like without him.
Oh, my God. That Buffalo and the Green Bay game, that was disgusting.
They're gonna.
They still rush for.
You get a free shot at like a top 5 defender in this draft because the front is going to be loaded. They're going to just go offense all across the board. That's what these teams always do. They're looking for quarterbacks, looking for receivers. You're going to have a pick, right? What are they? They're 15?
No, so we're 11. We're 11.
Oh, 11. Yeah, 11.
Yeah.
Defensive players are going to drop. You're going to get a crack at them. Get a good D tackle. Get a good DN. Whatever's there. I always say best available, but in this situation, it's like you're just going to take the best D lineman there.
What if it's a wide receiver, Sage? What if it's a wide receiver?
There's no chance. I swear to God, it's a wide receiver.
Then is it best available?
Wide receiver. No, it's never. Okay, I'll say if they could draft Jeremiah Smith, you could talk me into it.
Yeah, you know what? I'd be like, fuck it. We'll move mountains. We'll get everybody else off the books.
Thoughts on Travis Hunter?
I don't know why he's number 1. I mean, keep in mind, I don't.
It's not going to happen.
I don't watch a lot of college football, so I'm not going to say that I've been cracking down on Travis Hunter tape. But the idea that I've gone is that he's probably a better cornerback than a wide receiver, right?
But he's going to play receiver, yeah.
He's not going to play both. You can't play both in the NFL. I don't think that you could be guarding. You can't be guarding the best wide receiver in the league and then trying to beat the best cornerback in the league on the other side.
Hey, yeah,
Back to back. You can't do it. It's just not possible in the NFL.
I was thinking like situationally, like, hey, we need a big stop. Like, get your ass in there. But then it's like, would you even want that?
But is that worth the first pick?
No, I agree. I don't think so. But it's not a loaded draft. There's no Jaden Daniels. There's no Caleb. Like, there's no like big name coming out where it's like everyone's been talking about it. Like, it's Cam and Shadur. I mean, look at Marvin Harrison Jr. The guy had the name, so he got the hype when he really wasn't the best receiver in the draft. Shadur has the name and he has the numbers, but he's still not getting like the hype where everyone's like, this guy's the for sure number one. So it's like, it's kind of telling, like, these guys are hearing what the scouts are saying. Like, maybe he's not that good. Like, maybe we shouldn't mortgage everything to trade up to one or to just tank to try and get it. I mean, teams weren't ambitious to get the number one pick. Like, teams were avoiding it. The Patriots avoided it. The Giants kind of avoided it. Like,
the Patriots just fucked it up. I don't think they were avoiding it.
I think the Bills reversed.
Wait, hold on. Why are you beating Buffalo in Week 18 when you have nothing to play for? You're just gonna throw away the one pick? I mean, Bill Simmons was beside himself. He said it was one of his 5 worst days as a Patriots fan. So,
yeah.
I mean, what would you do? Honestly, what would you do for Abdul Carter to fall all the way to 11? Because he's the only guy that I've cracked tape on. I swear to God, he's the only guy I cracked tape on. This guy's a fucking beast, Sage.
Let's see what his ADP is.
If we put this guy side by side with Nick Bosa on the line, we're right back. We're all the way back.
Does it not throw you off, though, a bit that he looks just like Micah and that maybe that's what's like deceiving everyone is that he literally just looks like Micah too? Isn't it like, come on, he wears the same number.
Yeah, big DN.
11 from heaven.
Was he number 11 too?
Yeah, 11 from heaven. He wears the crop top. Like, he literally just looks like Mike out there. So, like, I think that's why people are so drawn to him. But they had a great defense.
He's the beast. He's the beast, Sage. I will say, I don't think it's all that. Maybe a part of it is that he looks like Micah Parsons, but the tape that I saw, he was just throwing dudes around and getting to the quarterback whenever he wanted to.
I mean, you see it, bro. Like,
and he was banged up. He was banged up all year too, and still put out great results
in these playoffs. Chase, who's been the Eagles' best player?
Jalen Carter.
He fell. He was. Everyone said. I mean, he had some issues, but
that was different. Like, what was he? DUI? Was he DUI or he was? Did he have gun related stuff?
I think. I don't want to misquote something like
this. Was it domestic violence? Yeah, we don't want to get sued for false information here. So figure it out.
So let's see. It was something.
Was it weed? Maybe he was smoking weed. Jalen Carter. I'm going to look this up because I'm actually interested. But yeah, everybody was saying that he was the number one prospect in the entire draft. And of course, he fell all the way to fucking 11 to the Eagles. Yeah, so I'm actually not getting any information.
Reckless driving. Come on, bro. Reckless driving. What the fuck?
No, I mean, Sage, this is what it was. He was in Athens, Georgia, and the cops pulled him over. He was drinking. He was driving. And they said, just because you're a Bulldog, we're going to give you reckless driving, but we could have fucked you and gave you a DUI. That's exactly what happened. And that's why all the NFL teams got knowledge. They were like, yeah, it was a DUI. They just didn't put it down there on Athens PD. For sure what happened.
You think Kirby Smart had his hand in that or what?
Kirby Smart, I mean, what was happening with this Georgia Bulldogs defense this year? Did you see how many DUIs they got this year?
Do they have 3, 4? What's a lot?
Dude, I think it was like 6, 7. It was something crazy. Like before the season started, like every other week, there was like another Georgia Bulldog getting a DUI.
Just went out. They're like, we have such a badass defense, but Carson Beck keeps fucking us. And we just got to drink our sorrows away. It's supposed to be the best team in the nation. We suck.
I guess so. But, I mean, Sage, anything else on that? I think we had to definitely bring that up. We're a 49ers podcast, so we wanted to bring up Robert Saleh.
It's pretty much final.
It's pretty much final. I mean, if Mike Silver's wrong, Sage, that'll be the first time that he's ever been wrong. I swear to God, that dude's that on point with information coming from the 49ers. But, all right, Sage.
Shout out to the chat. We see you guys.
Yeah, shout out chat. We see you guys working right now. We appreciate it.
Drop some W's for the boys. We appreciate it. We can move on to our next topic there.
But yeah, so we came here, Sage. We were going to preview the AFC and the NFC Championship games. We got to start off with the biggest draw of the week, right? We got Patrick Mahomes taking on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs are -1.5 at home. Sage, if you're a football fan, you know what's been happening with the Chiefs and the Bills the past few years. The Chiefs have beat them 3 times in a row in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has basically been the Bills' daddy, but I don't know. For me, it seems like something different is happening this year with the Buffalo Bills. It seems like Josh Allen's year. But on the other hand, then you have the Chiefs who have a top 5 defense in the league. They've been, 15-1, 15-2. They're
15 and
humming.
1 with
So
Mahomes.
this is going to be a fucking battle, Sage. This is going to be a battle.
Dude, I mean, this is as good as it gets. I hope this lives up to the hype that we thought the Ravens-Bills would be. But when these two teams meet, man, it's fireworks. We've yet to see these top-tier other than Jaden. But Lamar didn't really have like a spectacular playoff game. Josh hasn't really had a spectacular playoff game. Mahomes only had one, but it wasn't spectacular, right? On the NFC side, Jalen Hurts has underperformed. Jared Goff in his one game. Like, the quarterback play has been subpar. Now you have the two best guys of their era going at it. Fourth time in their careers already. Fourth time. I think Brady and Manning played each other 5 times throughout that long.
It was 5 times, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the 4th time these guys have already played each other. So Mahomes 3-0. I mean, average margin of victory, 7 points. They've had their number. The Bills are tired of it. They beat him in September, lose in January. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. I will say this, man. The more I dive into it, the more interesting I think it gets. Because from the jump, I was really,
you've always been on Chiefs. You've been on Chiefs the entire year. What's switching it up? What's switching it up right now?
Dude, I'm just looking into like the Josh numbers, like how little he turns the ball over, where the Chiefs, man, like they'll turn it over. They put the ball on the ground. I mean, Mahomes, since getting DeAndre Hopkins, it got a lot better, right? It got a lot better.
Come on, bro. Since getting D-Hop, like what impact has D-Hop really had?
Well, the thing is, right, like before D-Hop, he was 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions through 5 weeks. And then I think, and they were still winning, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then since then, I think he only threw 2. What was it? What did he finish the year with? I could pull it up here, but you saw it. He cleaned it up. He had more faith in his receivers, took a little less down shots. They get to the ball. They get the ball to Xavier Worthy. How do they do it? Right? They run it. They give it to him in the backfield. They just possess it. So 3 interceptions to end the season. Went from 6-8 to 26-11. So a 20-3 touchdown and interception ratio since getting DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, you got to love what the offense presents for the Bills, right? I think they can match up with that Chiefs. I think they can match up with that Chiefs team well. Like sometimes the most simple take's the best take. It's going to come down to the quarterbacks. They get a matchup head to head, and this is Josh's best opportunity to beat him. Never in NFL history has a quarterback gone 4-0 over an opposing quarterback. This is the one opportunity it could happen.
I mean, Josh has gotten boned the last couple times that they played the Chiefs. So the first time they ever matched up in the playoffs, I think that was the 2020 AFC Championship game. That was basically a Chiefs route. The second time was what I think is, I'm not going to lie, Sage, I think it's a top 3 playoff game I ever watched. That was a 13-second game where
divisional game.
You don't think that's a top 3 playoff game that you've ever watched?
I mean, it's just tough to say that when neither team makes the Super Bowl. It's like, what were the implications?
But why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'm just saying that game itself was one of the best games I've ever seen. I mean, you had Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I think they each had 5 touchdowns. Josh scores with 13 seconds left, and Mahomes somehow finds a way to get them in field goal range, takes them into OT, and then they win. I don't know. I thought that was fucking incredible, but you got to say that Josh got boned in that one. And then they played last year in the divisional round. Tyler Bass, your boy, missed a 44-yard field goal to tie it with 50 seconds left. So Josh has put them in positions to beat the Chiefs. His team really just hasn't pulled through for him. So
it's a fair point. But to be fair, like it's my same argument with the Ravens. Tyler Bass makes that field goal. It's a tie game with 1:50 left. Mahomes has 2 timeouts. He's getting him a field goal. I promise you, he's getting him a field goal.
You can't just say that though. You can't just say that. I get where you're coming. I get where you're coming from. But you always do this. You always do this with Mahomes, where you're like, "Oh, they gave him fucking 45 seconds." Like
I did it with Josh though. I did it with Josh during the Ravens topic. I said, like, I just have faith that there's more than a 50% chance that guy goes and gets a field goal for you. But like, it didn't happen. He missed it, so no ifs, ands, or buts.
Sage, for me, this game's gonna play out, I think, exactly how the first game played out. So the Bills won 30-21. I think it may even be more of a domination by the Bills, in all honesty, because this Bills offense has been lining up. I think 13 out of 17 games this year, they scored 30 or more points. Sage, your Chiefs have not scored over 30 points all year.
This is our Chiefs. This is our team.
I mean, you are a Chiefs guy. You are a Chiefs guy, but I just think that this offense is way too much for Buffalo.
Chiefs guy.
Especially the run game for Buffalo has gotten way better over the past couple of weeks. You saw even against what I think was the number 1 rush D with Baltimore. They were basically just pounding James Cook. You have Josh Allen as well, who's running the ball. So that combined with the fact that Josh Allen has been like Superman the entire year, probably is going to be the MVP. I mean, Sage, do we even have the odds on the MVP? I feel like it's switching
Lamar's
up
the
every fucking week.
Yeah, it seems like Lamar's going to win it. Ever since the first team All-Pro came out, it flipped. It seems like Lamar's got it. That's why they keep calling him MVP.
Because I saw that he was minus 250, and then a couple weeks ago I saw
after
Josh.
week 18 he was minus 290, and then it just flipped after the All-Pro teams. I think is what did it, because the quarterback's never not made All-Pro and won the MVP. So
yeah, it's crazy,
it's
but
really
really quickly, go no, because my point is that Buffalo's had the second highest scoring offense all year, Sage. Chiefs are about 15th. I think they're averaging 23 points a game. They haven't scored more than 30 points all year. I just think that even though I trust this Kansas City defense, I think they're going to make it hard to run the ball. I just think that Buffalo's going to outscore them, and that Josh, unless he has a nightmare game, is going to put up points. And you got Mahomes on the other side, but I just don't think that offense is as explosive as it needs to be to win this one.
So, I mean, I said it, right? I said it in the preview, and I was hyping it up all week. I said, I think this Chiefs offense is about to shock us. I think people don't understand how big of an upgrade it is to have a guy like Hopkins, have a guy like Hollywood Brown into that offense come playoff time. Chase, do you know what they combined for last week? 0
Hollywood
catches,
and DeAndre?
1 target, 0 yards. That's what they combined for. And they were still fine. So it goes both ways, right? It's a double-edged sword. The Chiefs offense looked fine with those guys not having to make an impact. But why aren't those guys making any impact in a meaningful playoff game where it's decently tight, like throughout? Are they washed? Like, are they just not involved? Does Mahomes not trust them? I don't know. So that does worry me. I do believe in playoff Kelsey to an extent. You
have to at this point.
I don't think he can do it all 3 rounds is the problem. Like, I think coming off the 117 for whatever, I don't think it's going to be like we could ride Kelsey for this entire game. He's going to take it over because he's open, but he's not going to dominate Yak, like, taking over a game. So someone else has to step up, whether it's Worthy, whether it's the run game, right? This Bills secondary, it can get caught. We saw it. Lamar had Rashad Bateman running wide open. But then on the other side, right? That Chiefs secondary, if you stay away from the run, but the Bills were able to run on them the first time. But if you stay away from the run and you could just pick at Jalen Watson, you go at their corners, right? Put those linebackers on those tight ends. They can attack them, man. Like, you're getting the points. I mean, it's only 1.5, but you never know what this game's going to be like. I saw them. It's like tough. Like, that's what we're going to get into with this Commanders-Eagles game. Like, it's tough for me to just take that image out because when I watched it, it was such a convincing effort by the Bills. So it's going to come down to it, man. I think the Bills offense is much more talented, but the Bills defense worries me a lot. Like, it's the worst unit on the field. It's not close.
The Bills defense is probably the worst unit on the field, but Sage, they get turnovers. And I feel like the fact that you got Milano back now, it seems like they've been better the past couple of weeks. I mean, they held the Broncos to 7, and they made it hard for Lamar. I mean, they turned the Ravens over 3 times. So I am scared about that. I am scared with the Bills defense, but I call me crazy. If you never score more than 30 points the entire year, I don't think you're going to do it in the AFC Championship game, right? So it's tough, though, because you do have Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I mean, this guy could look like a skeleton the entire regular season and then comes back. And what did he have? Like 11 catches for 140 last week?
7 catches, 11 targets, 117 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have a big game. And I think it really comes down to the fact that Buffalo may be shook by KC a little bit.
I think that's the thing, right?
Is always that factor that they're going to have that shitty game because they're nervous.
That's the thing. That's what makes me nervous is that it's a big brother mentality where it's like every year they get him in the regular season, Chiefs get him in the playoffs. Get him in the regular season, Chiefs get him in the playoffs. I just think that there's that pressure that if Mahomes is rolling, they're going to feel it, right? I don't trust Joe Brady. Like, I really don't. With these like tight play calling things, I trust Josh. I don't trust Sean McDermott. I trust Josh. I trust Spags. I trust Andy Reid. I trust Mahomes. I'm going with the Chase. I've been on it all year. I'm going to make my pick. I'm going with the Chiefs minus 1.5. I'm nervous, but I just think I'm on the right side here. I got the better defense. I got the better coach. I got the better quarterback. And it ends there.
So, Sage, I'm going to start off my pick by saying this. I'm going to refute what you just said because Josh Allen's been the best player in football all year. He has.
He's been playing like it.
You can suck off Mahomes. You could use the past couple years, which I wouldn't blame you for, but Josh Allen has been a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes all year. In these games, it always comes down to who do you trust the most? Who do you trust the most at the end of the game? And I swear to God, Sage, I trust Josh Allen with this Bills offense, with the weapons like Shakir, Coleman, Cook, Kincaid, Hollins, Cooper, all of them. I trust them more to go get a score at the end than I do with this Chiefs offense. It's weird because you have Andy Reid, you have Kelsey, you have Mahomes, but they have not scored over 30 points all year. That's a fucking concern, especially when you're going up against probably the most electric offense in the entire NFL, except for the Detroit Lions. So I like Josh in this one. I mean, Sage, the Chiefs are what did they go? 15-1 all year. But how many questionable wins do they really have? I mean,
get out of here with questionable
No, come
wins.
on,
A
Sage.
win
I mean,
is
I got
a
it right
win.
here.
Chase, as a Niners fan, you see how hard it is to win these close games. They don't what's the difference between the Chiefs and all these other teams? They don't choke the games against the Cardinals, the Rams when they have a 10-point lead. They're killers, man. They find ways to win.
Sage, I'm just gonna present evidence. Please.
Go for it.
I'm just gonna present evidence to the people here. All right. So that Bengals game, 43 seconds left. The Chiefs.
The PI.
The Chiefs were down 2. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. So the Chiefs were down 2. They were trying to make a score to win the game. 4th and 16, Sage. It was a BS PI call. If they did not get that, they would have lost the game. So that's a loss right there. The Broncos game, they got a 35-yard field goal by the Broncos blocked to win the game with zeros on the clock. So if the Broncos hit a 35-yard field goal and don't have it get blocked, they win that game. They go OT with Tampa Bay. They go OT with the fucking Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. And the Raiders with 15 seconds left, Aiden O'Connell fumbles in field goal range. So everybody's going to point to this Chiefs team and say, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. They've been 15-1 all year, but they've been a shaky 15-1. They've honestly, we use the same argument for the Vikings where they're so good in close games, one-score games, that you think it's the reason that you should trust them more. But in all honesty, it just comes down to luck a little bit. The Chiefs have been lucky.
Luck.
I mean, this Bills team already beat them, Sage. This Bills team already beat them 30-21. They looked like the better team. They looked like the better offense. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Bills plus 1.5. I got the evidence to back, and I got the magic. There's some Bills magic going on right now. It's going to be whatever dark magic's going on in KC. I swear to God.
Let me go for a little bit here just to debunk everything. We'll rewind. When it's the Chiefs, it's always lucky. Refs. This. They're in the midst.
You can't say we. You can't say we. You're not a fucking Chiefs fan.
I didn't say we.
Where?
What? No, I did. Rewind that.
You did. We'll rewind it.
No. Okay. When it's the Chiefs, it's always luck, refs, all this bullshit. Oh, you didn't let me finish. We're in the midst, right, of watching the greatest dynasty ever, and all anyone wants to do is, I think so.
No, we're not.
If they
they're not going to three-peat because they're losing on Sunday.
Okay. America might see a team three-peat for the first time. And all they're going to do is do the same exact thing that they did with the Patriots, and they're not going to realize it until 10 years later. Spygate, Deflategate, the refs suck off Tom Brady. History repeats itself. We're living in the past right now. And I'm not going to be the guy who fades Tom Brady, who fades Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to be the guy who rides on destiny, rides history and watches it happen and doesn't make excuses for it and just embraces it and accepts it, right? All those things, Chase, all 50-50, right? Those other teams, whoever it may be, Bills lose those type of games. Bills got routed twice. Like you're saying, the Chiefs could have lost here. The Bills lost by.
When did they get routed? When did they get routed, Sage? How early in the season? How early in the season?
Chase, when was the Bengals game that you're pointing to that they could have lost? We're going all the way back here. They got routed by the Texans.
People are trying to use the Chiefs record as a way to say that they're legit. And in all honesty, I think the record's a little bit fraudulent. That's all.
Okay. What about back-to-back champions that are 15-1? It's a lot more dominant than you really think. When you look at it in the macro.
I think that you're just not. I think you're looking over the fact that this Chiefs offense has been shaky all year. You're trying to always say that, if they wanted to put up 35, they could have put up 35, but it's just the game flow. Come on, Dave. They've never had to put up over 30 points. They never had to put up over 30 points.
I mean, they had to once and they did it.
What is the Chiefs' realistic route to winning this game? So you think they're going to win? What's the score prediction? Because do you honestly think that the Bills aren't going to score 30 points? And
I don't think
if they do score 30 points, do the Chiefs score more than 30? Because they haven't done it all year.
I think 27-24. I think they're going to stay in their 27 range, 27-24. I think it's be a lower scoring game. I really do. I mean, it's always lower scoring when they play, weirdly. I mean, they scored 30 last time, but I feel like it's always somewhere within that 18-27 range. The two teams fall, except for obviously this 13-second game where it was just, bananas, fireworks the whole time. You see the rivalry. I think you got the big bro mentality. We haven't even mentioned that they're at Arrowhead. They're hosting the Arrowhead Invitational back where it belongs. So I'm just going to ride with the better team, man. The rest of the team, I think they're going to shake off the rust a bit. I just don't think the Bills have enough to hold them. And I think the Chiefs have enough to hold the Bills every now and then. I mean, my takeaway from last week was the Ravens were the better team. They just gave the ball away twice more, and then that was the deciding factor. I really think that's what happened. I think the Ravens beat themselves. The Ravens beat themselves. The Bills didn't beat themselves. That's what happened. So I just think that the Chiefs don't beat themselves. You're not going to get those gifts. Josh Allen hasn't been beating himself as much, right, this year. Been taking care of the ball. I respect it. I'm not saying it's easy money, easy win. I'm just going to ride on the right side of history here. I'm going to ride with Mahomes. I'm going to ride with Andy Reid. I'm going to ride with Spagnuolo.
I mean, you brought up what the Ravens did last week, and if they hadn't turned the ball over, then it would have probably been their game. But that's something that Buffalo's done all year. I mean, they've had the number one turnover margin. This defense has forced the third most turnovers. In the game that they played with the Chiefs earlier in the year, Mahomes had 2 interceptions. He did not look good. So I think that he's going to I think the defense is going to turn over Mahomes, and I think that Josh is going to roll. That secondary for Casey is pretty suspect. You got a lot of options that Josh could throw to. So maybe you put McDuffie on one guy, but then you're going to have either Shakir, Coleman, Cooper on the other guys who are a little bit vulnerable.
The invisible man, Amari Cooper. Don't have faith in that guy to do shit. He is a nothing. Amari Cooper is a nothing, a zero. Like
I can't wait, Sage. I can't wait because you've been riding the Chiefs' dick all year just because they've been winning. Even when they've looked fraudulent, you just kept on saying if they really wanted to, they could have made this a 10-point game. This was a practice. They basically had fucking 20 practices on Sundays the past 5 months, all gearing up for this moment. So I hope that you're right and that we get a fucking great game on Sunday. But this is just Josh's year, man. And you're gonna come back. You're gonna watch the recording after the game on Sunday, you're going to be like, Chase was right. You're going to say Chase was right.
It'd be a first. I
was
need
right
you to
in front
have
of
one.
my fucking face the entire year that this was Josh Allen's year. This was the year that he was going to come to the mountaintop, take over, beat Mahomes and KC, go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl MVP, win the first Super Bowl for Buffalo. Before we get to New Orleans, we got to get through KC. The Bills get it done this week. I mean, I can't wait. I mean, I can't wait, Sage.
Like, you're going to laugh at me, say whatever you want. I don't care. I love Josh. I hope he wins a Super Bowl. I want him to win a Super Bowl. This is just where I'm putting my money. This is just what my mind believes. I would rather the Bills win, but I am too financially invested now in the Chiefs where it's like I can't back off now. You ride it while you ride it. Because I think this is it. Like, this is your Super Bowl, right? Or do you not think so? Do you give Philly or Washington a chance?
Yeah, I don't think this is a Super Bowl. I don't.
Okay, interesting.
I think that whoever wins this game still has a fight in the Super Bowl. I don't think it's locked up. No.
Nothing's ever locked up. Like, we could leave someone's injured, but I think both teams fully healthy. Like, I'm leaning heavily with whoever's in the AFC just to win. I don't know what the spread's going to be, but
I will say whoever wins probably is 3.5-point favorites at least in the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah. Imagine if it's the Commanders. We can move into that now.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be a great one, Sage. Hopefully, Josh gets the win, gets the 3-1 against Mahomes, gets that monkey off his back a little bit like Steve Young in 1994. But all right, Sage, let's move on to the go ahead.
Real quick, chat. We appreciate it if you guys keep it up, like the stream, subscribe if you're here, give the show a big follow. It helps.
There we go, Sage. There we go, baby. But all right, let's get into that NFC Championship game. So, Sage, this felt a little bit weird for me because past couple of years we know the Niners usually in this game. We had a season from hell, so we're not going to be back in it. But the Commanders, Jane Daniels, somehow found a way to get into this NFC Championship. They're going to be taking on the Eagles in Philly. This was a weird line, Sage, because it started out at 4.5, and I don't know if the Sharps came in on it or the books had a change of mind with some information that came in with Jalen Hurts, but now the line's at 6.5. I didn't get any information on Jalen Hurts, but it seems like he's a little bit banged up. He was limited in practice yesterday, so we don't know if Jalen Hurts is healthy, and the Commanders may be a live dog here.
Dude, I think people are overlooking this injury so much. I think people are overlooking the coaching disadvantage so much. Like, I get it's 6, but I think Jaden's for what people wanted to make the Rams-Eagles debate, it's the Commanders-Eagles debate. Everyone's saying, you got Stafford, you got McVay, right? I'm not going to say Dan Quinn's Sean McVay, but he's a pretty damn good coach. He's seen this Eagles team twice. And then on the other side, you got Jaden. You got the true best quarterback in the NFC. He's young. He's seen this Philly defense twice. Last time he saw him, he hung 36 on him. You could point to the injury to Jalen Hurts, the concussion, say that helped him, whatever you want to say. Jaden Daniels ate that defense up in that second half, put together 2 insanely clutch drives when they needed it and got them that win, right? He's seen Philly. He's scored on Philly. It's a little bit different now. It's the playoffs. You're on the road again. I get it. So to me, it's not really Jalen versus Jaden. It's really Jaden versus what everything else Philly presents. Can you score on that defense? Is Saquon going to be able to run the ball? Because I think this injury is huge. Like, I really do. Like, you saw Jalen in that.
He looked terrible. He looked terrible at the end of that game, Sage, and especially on that safety. I don't think I've ever seen that where Jalen Hurts genuinely couldn't get out of the way. And we also brought up on that play, I think it was in the last drive that Philly had, where he rolled out to the left and just fell like a sack of potatoes. So
that was a terrible play.
It seems like a lot of news coming out of Philly is that they're confident that he's going to be ready to go, but I don't know. Like, if you're telling me that Jalen Hurts is going to be running for like 10 rushes and 85 yards on Sunday, I wouldn't believe it. So what is Jalen Hurts if he's not going to be a threat in the run game? So because we've seen he's been struggling in the pocket even before this injury. I mean, I don't know. He's had a concussion that lasted for 4 weeks. I don't know what the fuck he did to his head. I think they were overhyping it a little bit, trying to make it seem like the concussion was reason for his poor play. But even before this injury, he was playing bad out of the pocket. And now put in a sprained knee on your plant foot, not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
No, I mean, I just don't understand why people are overlooking at this line when they're coming off a loss against them. They haven't looked great. Like, I said it after the first game, and I said it after the second game. Like, they inspire no confidence. Like, you're just waiting for this team to, like, come out and kick someone's ass, but it's almost like Chiefs-esque, but without Mahomes, right? You wait for them to put up 40 because you see all this offensive firepower. See a guy like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Goddard, right? Jahan Dotson getting work. And then you have Saquon on that O-line, and it's like 22. All they do is they just suffocate teams and they destroy them just like by possessing the ball and just, I guess, outrunning them, outdoing like all the little things. Jalen doesn't turn over as much, and they're going to play a safe game. I mean, I'm going to go with the Commanders +6. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be I know the last game was high scoring, but you're in the cold, no rain, no snow, but a cold weather game, 2 offenses that love to possess the ball, love to run the ball. And I just think it's going to be a lower scoring game, fewer possessions. And I give the Commanders a great shot. Like, I think they can win. So why not devour the points with that? Commanders +6 is my play here. I think it's a smart play. It seems like as much as the line wants to move to Philly, it keeps coming back down. It goes up, it comes back down. So I think there's sharp money on both sides, but I'm going to ride with the better quarterback, the better coach, the hotter team. I'm going to go with the team that's playing the best football. I got Commanders +6 here, Chase.
I mean, this is what I'll say, Sage. You said, why do the bookies always like give so much credit to Philly? And if you look at the past 2 matchups that this team's had, Saquon, the first game that they played on Thursday Night Football, 26 carries, 146, 2 touchdowns. And in that game that you brought up where the Commanders won 36-33, Saquon, 29 for 152 touchdowns. Sage, this team could run the ball. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. That O-line, in all honesty, is going up against a very weak Washington D-line. They've ran the ball on them twice this entire year. They ran their asses off the last 2 times they played them. I think it's going to happen again at home. And when you look at this Philly defense, would you not say that this has been the most solid defense all year? Just on paper, what they've been putting out on tape. I know that you're going to say the Chiefs because you always say the Chiefs, but maybe other than the Chiefs, would you not say that it's been the most solid defense in football all year?
I was just going to say, I can't say all year because of how bad they were the first 5 weeks. And then
the second half of the year coming into the
best defense. Yeah, they've been the best defense.
They've been the best defense in Sage. The Commanders are dealing with some injuries right here. So I'm seeing it right here. So their star right guard, Sam Cosmi, he's out. So he tore his ACL last week. I think that's going to be big. Jaden's been playing great, right? I mean, he's been playing great all year, but look at those cornerbacks that Philly has. Quinyon Mitchell's going to be playing on Sunday. You got Cooper DeJean. You got Darius Slay still there. I think it's going to make it hard for those Washington Commanders wide receivers to get open. Zacchaeus, McLaurin. I think they're going to struggle, and I don't think that Brian Robinson is going to be able to run the ball into the heart of that Eagles defense with Jalen Carter. I think that they're going to stuff the run. They're going to make it hard for the wide receivers to get open. You got Philly at home. I have some struggles with Jalen Hurts. That scares the shit out of me.
Pressure's on him.
If I'm laying 6.5 and I don't even know if my quarterback's going to be able to reliably throw in the pocket, definitely concerned. But some's telling me with how this line's been moving the entire week that there's confidence with the Eagles that Jalen Hurts is going to be ready to go. If I know that Jalen Hurts is healthy enough and I got Saquon Barkley in the backfield with that O-line and that defense matching up, let's be honest, he's still a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's been looking great the past couple of weeks, but this is a rookie quarterback. I think that this is one step too far for the Commanders and Jane Daniels. I think they go down. If you're telling me that the Eagles just have to win by a touchdown and I win, I'll take it. I'll take it. I got the link and I got the Eagles -6.5.
So I believe you. I believe you. I understand like where you're coming from. I get the run thing. I mean, what did the Lions not do? They just didn't run the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. It was open all game. Every time Gibbs touched the ball, 5, 6, fucking 7 yards of carry. They just didn't go to him enough, right? They wanted to make it a Montgomery thing. They wanted to make it like a Jared Goff thing, and that's what screwed them. They wanted to make it a Jameson Williams quarterback tryout, pro day, debut, and they just didn't do what they did best. If they just, handed the ball off to Jahmyr Gibbs, they probably would have won. I just think the conditions play a factor. They've already seen each other twice. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, few possessions. Philly possesses the ball, like I said last week. The Commanders, methodical drives, they possess the ball. I think it'll be lower scoring. I think it'll be close. The back door's open with the 6, 6.5, whatever we land on here. I'll let you have the half. We just call it 6 since we have it at the bottom. So I'm fine with it. I think are you shocked that the Commanders went outright? Like, I think it's a potential outright spot. I think if you just take the rookie quarterback thing out of your head, they're playing better football. They're peaking right now, and they got their quarterback playing with all the confidence in the world. On the other side, you have a coach who almost got fired this year. Jalen Hurts, who the city is so bipolar on. Half the city doesn't like him, half the city likes him. He's injured.
To be fair, Philly is bipolar in general. I mean, come on.
Philadelphia
is full of a bunch of fucking crazy scumbags.
Dude, they love Nick Foles. They love Joel Embiid. Like, they love their stars. Like, they die for their stars is the thing. Like, they always die for their stars. They ride for their stars. It's like guys like Ben Simmons, like guys like Jalen Hurts. Those are the guys
I'll say this. They do not like Ben Simmons anymore.
Yeah.
If Ben Simmons went anywhere near the city of Philadelphia, he
got booed as a bench player.
Point. Yeah.
But just like, I think all the pressure's on Jalen Hurts. He feels it. Like, he knows he's the weak link of that team. So he's already hurt. I mean, he could get fucking sacked and we might be seeing Kenny Pickett. I like what I have on Washington. I feel safer. It's a deep breath, and I'm already winning when the time the ball goes in the air. So I'll take the points with this one.
I think so. With that second game that you brought up where the Commanders won, I think that's influencing the line a lot too. And I mean, remember the start of that game stage? I mean, Philly went up 14-0. Jalen Hurts got hurt, and then it flipped the entire game.
Yeah, Pickett fumble, or the Pickett pick was just awful. Yeah,
I mean, Pickett had one of the biggest not top 10 plays of all time. He played awful that entire game.
No, that was the next game. That was
I thought it was against the Commanders where he had that shitty play. No,
wait, maybe it was because it was Tanner Mordecai.
Definitely
he had like the self spike and he hurt himself. That was the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, so Kenny Pickett was a nightmare that entire game, and Jane Daniels really started to get humming in the second half. So even though a lot of people are pointing to that game as a reason why the Commanders can get it done, I think that Jalen Hurts getting a concussion in that game definitely shifted it. It looked like the Eagles were about to blow them out. I was watching that game. I had Jane Daniels in the fantasy playoffs, and it did not look good. I was going
against Jalen Hurts and Saquon.
Yeah, and last week, I think the Commanders, everybody's starting to get on their train because they saw how good they looked against the Lions. And you brought it up, right? If the Lions just ran Jahmyr Gibbs, they would have been able to get it done. The thing is, they couldn't because the Lions defense was so bad and just allowed the Commanders to score the entire game that you couldn't run the ball. That's not going to happen with this Philly defense. The Commanders are not going to run over this Eagles defense like they did last week against the Lions. I think that this just suits up to be a game that fits what Philly wants, and they get it done, and they're at home. So I get why you're taking the points, especially with the Jalen Hurts injury concerns, but part of me also sees like the Commanders in the Super Bowl. No fucking way. The Eagles have been dominant all year. I mean, when was their last loss, Sage? When was the last time the Eagles have lost a game? Was it to the Buccaneers in week 4?
It's been a minute. They haven't lost in a while.
They've been dominating teams all year. I love Jane Daniels, but I just don't think it's enough. I think it's the Eagles get it done. And Sage, I don't know what the hell or how New Orleans is going to be able to handle this, but I think you're going to have a Buffalo-Philadelphia Super Bowl in the Big Easy, which I don't know if the Cops will be able to handle that one with those crazy fans.
That'll be fireworks. So let's see. Their last loss. No, it's to the Commanders. What are we thinking?
Oh, that's right. But that was without Jalen Hurts. I'm saying when they were fully healthy and their quarterback didn't get injured in the game.
Week 4 to the Bucs before their bye week.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Hurts injury is what's turning me off here. If they
So
were
wait,
full
are you
go
going to
on-
pick them? Are you going to pick them outright? Are you saying Commanders outright? Or are you saying they're just going to cover the spread?
I like outright. Am I going to go Philly? Like, it's obviously minus 400, 300. Like, I'd rather just sprinkle the Commanders at that point. Like, I really would. I don't think AJ Brown's mentally there. It seems like
I'm just saying, give me a prediction, Sage. I'm just saying, give me a prediction for the Super Bowl. Yeah, who's going to win the game? Who's going to win the game?
I think like if I guns ahead, Philly Chiefs is what I got. Rematch from 2 years ago.
You got Philly Chiefs. I mean, so I got Philly Buffalo, but that's the two matchups that everybody wants to see. Let's be honest. We don't want the Commanders in the Super Bowl. The Commanders are going to get blitzed by whoever comes out of the AFC.
Yeah.
If they win on
No,
Sunday.
100%. I mean, Chase, like we've seen some great AFC, NFC Championship games. Let's just hope we get some like this Sunday.
Oh, wow. What a little transition by you there. You're starting to get a little professional on me over here, Sage.
What are you talking about?
To cap off the episode, we just wanted to do something. I feel like, Sage, I've been bringing it up the past 2 weeks. I feel like I'm switching my take every single week, but I do feel like Championship Sunday. I think you got to say, no, I think you got to say that is the best single day of football. Single day of football, not the best weekend, but the best single day of football in the entire football season. I mean, you got a game at 12, West Coast time. You got a game at 3. It's just perfect. And you figure out who's going to be in the Super Bowl. You get fucked up, and then you got 2 weeks to rest and gear up for the Super Bowl. I swear to God, I stand by this take. I know that I've been a little bit fluid with it, but I'm set in this take right now.
Just come back in 13 days when we're previewing the Super Bowl and Chase gives the whole.
Sage, you know what? I got to admit,
nothing like Super Bowl Sunday.
There's nothing like Super Bowl. Best day in sports.
Dude, anything. I mean,
the fact that you get 2 games, though, that's a little bit better.
If we're going singular day, I just like the Super Bowl more. I love the one focus. I will say this about the championship games. One always flops. It never fails. One always flops.
That's not true. I've seen so many years where you've had 2 great games.
I remember your theory was always bad divisionals means a good championship.
No. So my
bad
theory
championship makes a good Super Bowl.
If you have a great championship week, that means that you're not going to have as good of a Super Bowl. Like, remember that one? So I remember one year I was in Vegas where the Niners were taking on the Rams. That same day was the Bengals versus the Chiefs, where the Bengals came all the way back and won. Then you had that Bengals-Rams Super Bowl, which, in all honesty, was probably
a good game, but it was just
it was a good game, but probably one of the least memorable Super Bowls of the past couple of years. And then we had so many of those Patriots Super Bowls where they just ran through somebody in the AFC Championship game, and then their Super Bowls were always great. So I don't know. That's a long-standing theory that I have.
All right.
But for today, we're just going to give our top 5 AFC, NFC Championship games that we've ever seen. So we both started watching football in 2005. We're not going to give you the catch. We're not going to give you some Steel Curtain Steelers game that we've never fucking watched. So since 2005, we're just going to list off our top 5 championship games that we've ever watched. Sage, I'm a gentleman. I'm going to give you the floor here. Give us your 5th best game you've watched.
Chase, set the odds right now for us having the exact same 5 games. Not in order, but just the same 5 games.
I'm gonna say plus 250. I think you're not gonna get one that I have. I don't think you're gonna remember this one.
Okay, fair. I'm gonna go 5. I think I'm not doing it justice, but I'm gonna go Seahawks 49ers.
2013 NFC Championship.
That's my 5. It's a great game. Memorable. 2 best teams in football. Hatred. You kind of have something similar with the Commanders Eagles, but on crack. Like 2 hard-hitting defenses. You have a young Kaepernick, who at the time people were starting to think might have been one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
I don't know if anybody was ever thinking that, but he was dynamic.
One of the best. I'm saying, okay. Up and coming guy. You know, he's getting the commercials, the Bose sponsorships. He's the man. Going into Seattle, a team they seemingly could not beat, had the lead the entire game, and then obviously comes down to the Richard Sherman pick, or the Richard Sherman tip at the end to the pick. Was it Cam Chancellor who caught it? Whoever caught it. Niners fans, it lives in infamy. I think it was one of the best games I've seen, and it sucks. It sucks that we came out on the other side. Seemingly so, always with the Niners, but I had to put that at 5 just because of like the magnitude of that game, it being in Seattle, how talented and stacked those teams were. One of the most memorable championship games I've ever seen. I remember it to this day. So when looking through the list, I was like, I got to mention this. It's 5 because I'm a Niners fan.
So I'm gonna say my take on this one, Sage, because that's coming up later. But so for my number 5, I don't know if you remember this one, Sage. I don't know if you were fully into the NFL at this point, but I got the 2009 NFC Championship game at number 5.
Saints.
So that was Vikings Saints. So what I remember about this game is that this was Brett Favre's first year in Minnesota. He came off a year with the Jets where they were solid, but at the end of the year, they kind of started fucking up. They didn't make the playoffs. He comes to the Vikings, who had a great defense with Jared Allen. You had Adrian Peterson, and I think they went 13-3. They beat the 49ers in a really close game at the start of the year, and they were just humming. They had one of the best defenses. They had AP and Brett Favre run the show on offense. And then the Saints. So the Saints really started making a come up in that 2006 year. So that was like the year after Hurricane Katrina. I think they made it to the NFC Championship game against the Bears. They lost, had a couple down years, but then they started out 13-0 and were the number one seed in the NFC. So they hosted this NFC Championship game. And I mean, the play that everybody remembers is the Vikings were driving at the end of the game. I think they had it on the New Orleans Saints 35, tie game with like 15 seconds left. Brett Favre rolls out, tries to make something happen, throws a pick. Throws the pick with 15 seconds left in field goal range when it was a tie game. They go to OT, and I think at that time stage, if you won the coin toss and you just went down and kicked a field goal, you won the game. The other team didn't have a chance. So this was kind of known as, I think this was Brett Favre's last, or no, this wasn't Brett Favre's last ever game. It was his last playoff game. And a lot of people remember it for that interception that he threw. So it went to
one of the most iconic calls.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember the call, but
it was the Vikings announcer like, I can't believe he threw it. I cannot believe he threw that ball. And they were just like going crazy because they had the game. They had the game. He forced it into double cover, and he's just like this after. So I had this as my 4. Funny enough, you brought it up.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. So we're going to go back and forth here. That's funny. Go ahead.
So one of the things I had about this game is it was 31-28, but I just remember it like it was just fireworks. Like Vikings score first, Vikings score 7. Saints make it 7-7. Vikings score a touchdown. Saints make it 14-14, 21-14, then 21-21, 28-21, 28-28. Like just back and forth, like old school football with two classic quarterbacks. High scoring. It comes down. You have the iconic moment at the end. The Saints win to cap off that, or not to cap off, but to, get to the point where they can have
make their first ever Super Bowl.
Yeah. And it was just, it's a classic. I mean, it's like one of the pinnacles of Drew Brees' career. Great guy. Like it's Brett Favre being Brett Favre in the most Brett Favre moment in the most Brett Favre way.
That's unfair.
The Vikings.
That's unfair.
And it's it's funny because it's such a Vikings thing too, where they have all these heartbreaking playoff losses. You have the Blair Walsh game. You have this. You have the
1998 NFC Championship game. That's when they were badass with Randy Moss, Chris Carter. They lost to the Falcons that year.
Yeah. You just have all these moments. It's the pinnacle of it. I don't know, just one of the first moments of like football, like I truly remember, and just like thinking, like looking back on it, thinking how far away it was now, but it's like the beginning of the journey. So it's nostalgic and it's a classic game. So for an NFC Championship game, it's almost as good as it gets. So I have that as my 4.
So yeah, this is funny, Sage, because at number 4 for me, I got what you said was your number 5. So I have Seahawks 49ers. I truly think that there's a debate since 2000 that this may have been the best NFL rivalry with that team, with the Pete Carroll Seahawks teams. You had a young Russell Wilson running those offenses with the Legion of Boom. You had Bobby Wagner. They had a great D-line. I mean, that's one of the best defenses that you'll ever see. And they had the 49ers coming in with Jim Harbaugh. First year brought them to the NFC Championship game. They lost because of that Kyle Williams fumble. But these teams fucking hated each other, Sage. These teams hated each other every single time. Every single time they went up against each other, you knew there was going to be fireworks. And I think the only rivalry that could match it was the Ravens and the Steelers. When we saw Ray Lewis versus those Big Ben and Mike Tomlin teams. So
it was like an AFC North rivalry, those teams. Like dead ass, just like two hard-hitting like defenses that just like...
Oh, it was old school football. Like I think after that rivalry, that's kind of when we saw the old style of football kind of die. I think the first play of this game, Russell Wilson fumbled on his own 20. Allen Smith picked it up. Like you said, the Niners were up basically the entire game. I think the fourth quarter, the Seahawks took the lead. The Niners are driving down. I mean, they're driving down. You think it's going to happen. They're going hurry up offense. We still have 2 timeouts. We're like, take a timeout. Take a timeout. Calm it down. Kaepernick tries to go with the deep ball to, I think it was Michael Crabtree. And we know what happened there. Gets tipped by Richard Sherman. Malcolm Smith catches it. Aaron Andrews interviewing Richard Sherman after the game. Richard, what do you have to say about the play that he made at the end? When you put me up against a star receiver like Crabtree, that's a result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me. And I've never wanted to punch a TV more in my life, Sage. I mean, at that time, Richard Sherman was the worst person in sports. And it was tough being a Niners fan, but you got to admit that that's one of the best playoff games I ever watched.
It was 100% one of the best. I mean, I remember it to this day. Like, it's hard not like to forget that game. It's one of those times where it's just like you were so mad, like your first memory of being truly heartbroken as a sports fan, right? Like coming up, we always had the Giants. They always got it done. And then we were just waiting for the Niners. And then just back-to-back years, it goes out like that. So that was a good one, man. Like, it just sucks. It sucks how it turned out because we can't like remember it as such high regard.
No, and then after that year, I mean, Jim Harbaugh, I remember coming into the next year, right before week one, I was watching Fox NFL pregame show. Jay Glazer said, even if Jim Harbaugh wins the Super Bowl, he's out as 49ers head coach. So they went 8-8 that year. That was basically it. So that tip by Richard Sherman for the interception, that was basically the end of the Jim Harbaugh 49ers. So, yeah, definitely a tough one to look back on as a Niners fan, but great game.
All right, Chaser.
What do you got at number 3?
I'm going to go with the classic. I'm going to go Niners-Falcons.
Okay.
Do you have this?
I don't. I actually don't.
Okay. I just loved it. I mean, Niners, trailing the whole game. I mean, this one's a biased take here. It's a biased take, but Niners, it's not going to be regarded such like, highly across NFL circles, but I just love this game. First real moment of a Niners fan, like experience my team going to a Super Bowl, right? Like it's the first time in my life as a championship game. Like it just holds a special place in my heart. They go down 14-0. Julio Jones seems like he's unguardable. Kaepernick brings them all the way back. Was it the fumble, right? The fumble at the very end. Who was it? Was it Roddy White fumbles? They recover it. They get game-winning drive, score. Or was it Douglas? Harry Douglas maybe was it who fumbled. I should have had this pulled up, but just one of those games where it never felt like the Niners were going to win. They were always, playing from behind, coming back. Like it looked like they were dead at first. And then just like one of the true great comebacks that never gets talked about. Niners go to their first Super Bowl of my life. So I had to have this in here. Niners Falcons 28-24. I think it was 2013 or 14.
So this was 2012. This is 2012, I think.
12. Okay.
Yeah, but Sage, what I remember about this one, the 49ers were 5.5-point favorites heading into this game on the road in Atlanta. So the Niners were expected to win this game. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Falcons just go up. I think it was 21-3. Like Julio Jones was going off. They were hitting Roddy White. I think it was Michael Turner was the running back for the Falcons. So that Falcons offense was humming, but I don't think I've ever seen a 49ers team just come back so quickly. It happened relatively quickly. Like in the second half, I think they were down still about like 10 points, but they took the lead in the third quarter and somehow they have a lead. And then at the end of it, I remember that last drive stage where the 49ers were on defense. The Falcons almost got in. I think they got to the 5-yard line, and then it was 4th and 2. Matt Ryan goes back to throw, hits Roddy White, but Navarro Bowman gives him a little shoulder, knocks him past, and it's an incomplete pass. So I always remember the comeback. I'll remember how the Niners, I don't know, maybe the 49ers were in Magic City the night before. I don't know what happened, Sage, but they did not come ready to play at all. And then you had that comeback, and you had that big Navarro Bowman hit at the end to make sure Roddy White didn't catch it. Turn the ball over on downs. And yeah, this was the first Super Bowl that I ever saw the 49ers go to too. So definitely has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's funny because I haven't revisited to do prep. I was just going off the dome. I totally recapped that wrong, but in my head, it seemed a lot better than it was, but I still had to put it on there. First time seeing my team go to the Super Bowl, so I had to have it at 3.
So Sage, my number 3, I got the 2014 NFC Championship game. So this was Seahawks Packers in OT. This one was a weird one if you look back on it because the Packers were basically dominating the entire game. This was the game the Packers played after the Des Cottet play. So they beat the Cowboys because of that Des Cottet play. The Seahawks are coming off a Super Bowl where they kicked the shit out of the Denver Broncos after they beat us. They're going for back-to-back Super Bowls. They're playing in Seattle. Immediately, I think the Packers take a 21-0 lead at halftime. The Seahawks start coming back. I think they hit so they scored 2 touchdowns with 2 2-point conversions to make it a 24-18 game. They go for an onside kick. I forget the guy's name, Sage. But
Richard
they go
Rodgers, was it?
What? Was it?
Was it Richard Rodgers?
I think it was Richard Rodgers. So the Seahawks need to get an onside kick. They onside kick it. Richard Rodgers just fucking fumbles it. The Seahawks get it back. They score, get the 2-point conversion, set in an OT, and I knew because I was a Niners fan, I fucking hated the Seahawks. but I was like, I've seen this before. The Seahawks are going to get the coin flip, and they're going to drive down, win the game at home. And I think it was about a 50-yard bomb to Jermaine Kearse from Russell Wilson, and they win it. They win it. I think this was probably the most unlikely comeback that I ever saw. I've never seen a playoff game where a team needed an onside kick, got the onside kick, and then scored to win the game. That's never happened. So for me, that's got to be top 3, especially you had the Legion of Boom team going up against a prime Aaron Rodgers. That's an NFL classic right there for me.
In Seattle, like you had the backup refs games. It just seemed like there was always like some history between those two. I think you covered it well. I think we'll for sure have the same top 2. I'm just curious what order you go in here.
Okay. So you go ahead with your number 2.
Okay. I'm going Colts Patriots. You got that one?
So that's my number 2 too.
Okay. That's your number. You want to start?
So I'll start because I fucking remember this game like it was yesterday. So I think I was about like 10 years old. And before the game, I was always a guy, Sage, where I like watching the pregame shows leading up to the game. And
you hyped, baby.
And Peyton Manning. So Peyton Manning got a newspaper on his hotel, right next to his hotel door that said Manning can't win the big one heading into this game. And that was going through, I was watching Fox 2. And that was kind of the story with Peyton Manning heading into this one. So this was 2006. I think at this point, he's lost to Tom Brady twice in the playoffs, where the Colts were the 1 seed. They were favored in both games. Brady ends up winning 3 Super Bowls. Manning's never made it to one. I think, like you said, he had 3 MVPs, but just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And the Patriots just jumped out right away. Right away. I think it was 21-3, and then Manning threw a pick 6 to Asante Samuel, who when I was first getting to the game, I think this guy was the best cornerback in the league. I mean, you remember the start of that game, right, Sage?
Yeah, of course. Wait,
yeah, we could kind of like go in and back and forth here a little bit.
Yeah, okay, no. So I was just gonna say, right, like I think this is the game that jump started really their career, right? They were always being compared to each other, but if Brady goes up, 3-0 on him in the playoffs, it just changes the whole narrative on it. Right?
Very similar to this Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes
exactly
that we
there's
have going.
Parallel.
Literally, pretty fucking similar.
There's parallels to it, right? Like it's Brady always getting him in the playoffs. They jump out to that big lead. It seems like it's Kearns on Manning's career, not Manning's career, but Manning's like kind of legacy. It's kind of like what you see with Lamar, but in a totally different light and body. Like this guy just can't get it done in the big moment. He can't get it done. He has all the regular season success. He can't back it up in the playoffs. Kind of flips it. And doesn't play his best game, right? I think he threw a pick 6.
So he threw a pick 6 to end the first half to Asante Samuel. I think that put the Patriots up at least 3 scores.
Yeah, so I have it here. So that puts him up 20-3. It seems over. It seems like this is as dark as it gets or 21-3. Seems like this is as dark as it gets for Peyton Manning. And then engineers, I'm not going to say he was the main factor there, but the defense stepped up for the first time maybe in his career, forced some turnovers. Brady made some the pick Brady had at the end, right? Awful. Never see Tom Brady do that. Kind of felt like he's the one who succumbed to the pressure in that point, but I just thought it was just like such an iconic moment where it jumpstarts just the most dynamic rivalry of the 21st century in the NFL. And I can't recall specifically, but I just think it was one of those days or one of those games where you remember it forever, but at the same time you go back and you rewatch it, which I wanted to do, and you just see a bunch of things that you forget. So I don't know. I'm going to say like this was kind of the moment where it became a Brady Manning thing, because after that, Brady never gets him in the playoffs ever again.
I mean, it was a night game too. I think that's a big thing, but a lot of people got to think about what the entire greatest quarterback setup was in the NFL before that game, because Tom Brady was not a better quarterback than Peyton Manning at that point. He won 3 Super Bowls, but in all honesty, a lot of that was due to the defense. Peyton Manning was playing like the best. He was kind of playing like Patrick Mahomes is right now, where if you're just looking with the eyes, he looked like the best quarterback of all time. He was playing better than any quarterback in NFL history had ever played, but he just couldn't get it done. So Brady was basically stealing all of the glamour from him. And if he lost that game at home to the Patriots again,
so
it would have been detrimental. I mean, it would have been so detrimental to his legacy. He ended up winning that game. They came back at the end. I'll never forget. So Sage, do you ever watch these America's Game documentaries on NFL Network where they go through the entire season with the Super Bowl champions?
No.
You never watch that. So these are great watches. So they have it for every single Super Bowl year where they go through the entire Super Bowl run. And with this game, they're talking to Peyton Manning, and him, Jeff Saturday, and the running back, and Reggie Wayne are all talking about how they're going to break down the Patriots defense in the second half. And they all say, we got to run the ball. We got to run the ball. So that's really what jump-started the Colts comeback. They started running the ball with Joseph Adai. I don't know if you remember that name, but Joseph Adai was their running back. They started winning it. I mean, that's a classic video where you see Peyton Manning handing it off to Adai. He runs up the middle for the touchdown that gives them a lead. And like you said, Brady still had a minute left, so it wasn't locked up yet. But then he throws an interception. I think I forgot the guy's first name, but the last name was Jackson. It's like, Jackson intercepts it. Jackson intercepts it. The Colts are going to the Super Bowl. So I was a big Peyton guy. I never really rooted for Brady over Manning. So as a young football fan, seeing Peyton Manning win that game was great. And then he went on, beat the Bears in Miami, where Prince was seen in purple rain in the rain. So
didn't play well in that either.
This was the most important win, I think, of Peyton Manning's career. I really do.
You could say that, honestly. It's either this one or I think the Super Bowl versus the Bears, just to officially get the monkey off.
I think this was it. The fact that you were beating Brady, I think that a lot of people, like you kind of brought up with how you think the Super Bowl is going to go this year, where whoever wins the AFC Championship game is going to win the Super Bowl. A lot of people felt like that in 2006 as well. I think the Colts were at least 5.5-point favorites, so everybody kind of knew that the Colts were going to win that game against the Bears.
All right, Chase, what's your one?
So I'm going to introduce it, and then you can start it off. But, Sage, I think for people who started watching the NFL back in 2005, not only for how great the game was, but now that we're looking at it, seeing that the dynasty that we all grew up with is going up against the start of the dynasty that seems like they're going to be running for the next 10 years. The best championship game that I've ever watched has to be the 2018 AFC Championship game, Patriots-Chiefs at Arrowhead. Tom Brady pulls it out, 37-31, beats Patrick Mahomes in his rookie year, where you almost got to say it was one of the best quarterback seasons ever. That Chiefs offense came out of nowhere where Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mahomes, Andy Reid looked unstoppable the entire year, but fucking Brady and Belichick get one more win that they needed to have, leads them to their 6th Super Bowl. But this game was insane, man.
I mean, like you said, it starts off so slow, 14-0 at halftime, right? And then it just takes off, right? Tyreek Hill, I think right out of the gate it's a 4-play, 74-yard drive, and it's Travis Kelce touchdown there. And then the next drive, Patriots get nothing, or Patriots get 3. Kansas City scores, gets a touchdown, and then it's just back and forth. In that fourth quarter, Mahomes leads 2 game-winning drives. Tom Brady then leads a game-winning drive, ties it, goes up 3 with, I think it was 1:10 left, and then Mahomes gets him back into field goal range, comes down to the coin toss in overtime. Tom Brady had 2 3rd-and-10s, goes to Gronkowski, has one to Chris Hogan, and then
Edelman. It was Edelman.
Was it Edelman?
It was Edelman.
Okay, Edelman. So there was the one so it was Edelman over the sideline. I remember Romo called it. And then Burkhead runs in the game-winning touchdown. Brady takes off his helmet, jumps into his own lineman's arms. They celebrate. They knew they just had it. But like Chase said, you didn't appreciate it until you look back. It's the best dynasty we've ever seen coming up against the new and upcoming dynasty, this offense that seems unstoppable. I think they had already played that year or before. The Chiefs have.
So they did, and the Patriots won. So the Patriots won, but it was a high-scoring game.
No, I thought the Chiefs won. It was that Thursday night.
The Patriots won.
Wasn't it that Thursday night game to start the season where Kareem Hunt had 3 touchdowns? I'm thinking of something else.
I think you're thinking of something else. I think they played earlier in the year, and the Patriots won that game.
Okay. I thought so. My memory was they played the first week of the season, but maybe that was Mahomes' first.
No, that was a different year. That was when they had Alex Smith still the starter.
Okay. And that was the Kareem Hunt.
I remember it was freshman year of college. I got everything set up in my dorm room to watch the first Thursday night game of the NFL season. It was Chiefs, Patriots, and Alex Smith was still the starter. So that was the year before.
So, but then going back to this one then, right? Just the back and forth, you're seeing quarterback play at the highest level, right? Like we said, with the Manning-Brady game, it's an iconic game, but you look at those raw box scores, neither of them played too well. It was kind of just who didn't make the big mistake at the end. You look at this game, Brady, 30 for 46, a touchdown. 2 interceptions. You have the D Ford offside that gets called back. Was it right in this one?
Yeah, so basically the Chiefs had it. And then
Yeah.
D4 gets called for offsides, give the Patriots another opportunity, and they
fumble
convert.
that went off of Edelman's.
Julian Edelman play where I think, I don't know, were the Patriots up or were they down at that point? But I remember it clear as day. If you're watching it live, it looks like it hits off his knee. The guy for the Chiefs picks it up, runs it in. You're like, wow, Kansas City's going to beat the Patriots. And then you see Edelman going to the sideline. He's like, no. And then he's pointing to his knees like, didn't touch it. And you look at the replay, Sage, I don't think I've ever seen a replay that close. But so definitive. It was so close, but definitive. It did not touch him. It did not touch Julian Edelman's knee, but ever so slightly. They get the ball back and they tie it. And
so 17-14 at that point with 50 seconds left in the third quarter. 50 seconds left. Brady 2 plays later throws a pick. Chiefs go up 21-17. Brady leads them, goes up 3. Chiefs score a touchdown. Patriots score a touchdown. Chiefs field goal and a half. Patriots put it away in overtime. So as iconic as it gets, that one will live forever as a championship game.
At that time, it was crazy because what it told me was Tom Brady is the boogeyman. Like, you can't stop him. Like, all those third and 10s that he hit on that last drive to get that touchdown drive, you're just like, nothing can stop this guy. Tom Brady is the best quarterback that we've ever seen. In a late game situation, he's the best to ever do it. But it wasn't a detriment to Patrick Mahomes. Coming out of that game, like you said, Sage, he led 2 game-winning drives that Brady just found a way to come back and bring in an OT. After that game, I said Tom Brady's the best to ever do it. But you knew that Tom Brady was getting old. You had a feeling, too, that this was going to be the Patriots' last ride at it. So you said, okay, they had one more ride, they got done. But you still knew. You said, wow, this guy Patrick Mahomes, he's coming. And the rest of the league got to watch out because this guy can fucking light it up. And Sage, he was not nervous at all. Like, usually you see that with young quarterbacks coming in.
Saw it in the first half a bit.
He fucking tore that defense apart late. So whatever Bill Belichick was trying to do to stop him, like he's done with so many quarterbacks in big-time situations, it didn't faze Mahomes one bit. It didn't faze Mahomes one bit. So Brady bested him, but you knew that Mahomes was going to be one of the best to ever do it as well. What a fucking game, Sage, and what a legacy for the NFL that game was.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, you had your pinnacle there where it's like you had like the Jordan LeBron in the same game. You watched them go head to head.
Yeah, and then you had that game later in the Super Bowl. I think a couple years later, Brady gets him again. But do you think we're going to use that game?
Yeah, 100%. Who's the GOAT? 100%. You have to.
Well, you're not going to let me ask the question? You're going to cut me off mid-question, baby? We got to do this for the viewers. We have these connections, but the viewers don't know what we're about to say.
Okay, go.
But do you think that at one point, 20 years down the road, they're going to use this game as a reason to say that Tom Brady's better than Mahomes if it starts to be a 50-50 argument? Because I think that you have to. I mean, we see it all the time with the NBA. Oh, what did they do in the championship, in the finals against each other? What did this guy do in the playoffs, like Manning and Brady? They use those arguments as well, that Brady did better in the playoffs, even though technically Peyton Manning had a better head-to-head record over him. They sometimes use a playoff argument with Brady over Manning. I think that we're going to look at this game as it's going to be the decider for who we see as the best quarterback of all time. I really do.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, he was 2-0 against him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's something you could always point to if you're in the Brady camp.
No doubt. But all right, that's going to be our top 5 AFC and NFC Championship games of all time. Sage, anything else, man? I mean, we got a great weekend of football coming up on Sunday. It seems like the Niners got their defensive coordinator coming in with Robert Saleh. We only got 3 more weeks, Sage. 3 more weeks of NFL football. I mean, what are we doing after that? What are we doing after that? What
Warrior season,
what are we hoping that the Warriors find a way, I mean, to get into the fucking 10 seed? Or somehow get Nikola Vucevic somehow? Like, what the fuck are we going to do for the next 6 months?
We do mock drafts. We pray for the Warriors, and we get ready for Verlander and Kate Upton's arrival in the Bay. That's all we can do.
I mean, the Giants got to be in the worst spot ever, right? I mean, you're going up against San Diego, who's got a bunch of studs. L.A. is just signing every Japanese phenom the past 5 years, just getting everybody onto their team. So, yeah, we only got 3 more weeks of football. I have a feeling that it's going to be a sad 5 months of Bay Area sports. I really do. I try to be the positive guy, but it doesn't seem like the Warriors are going anywhere. If I was a betting man, I'd say that the Giants aren't going anywhere either. So let's just savor these last 3 games of football that we have because this is going to be the best. This is going to be the best that we've got for about 6 months here.
100%. I mean,
But
it comes and goes so quick. It's sad.
It's sad, but all right, Sager. When do you think we're going to come at them next?
Sunday night. We'll be here Sunday night.
Are we going to do a Sunday night reaction? You're going to be good to
100%. 100%.
What is our buddy Max going to be doing? How nervous is this fucking guy going to be before the Bills?
He's going to watch in a room
because I think he's doing dry January as well, right?
Yeah. We talk about Max too much. That guy doesn't deserve the shine.
He's
the one Bills fan we know. No, I'm just joking.
I think he deserves a shine, but I mean, shit, you came and
he's been giving me a hard time
before that game. That guy's gonna be nervous as hell, man.
He's been giving me a hard time because he's a Bills fan. I've been picking the Chiefs, but he could go be sorry by himself in his house.
I think we got to bring on Max for a reaction. If the Bills make the Super Bowl,
100%,
right? Or no, maybe should we just lock him in to be on anyway? Like we get Soggy Sorrows Max if the Chiefs beat him again, or we get pumped up Max if the Bills make the Super Bowl for the first time since he's become a Bills fan. I don't know.
Whatever you want.
All right, guys. So if you're watching, thank you. If you chatted, thank you for that as well. Follow us, TikTok, Twitter, like and subscribe to everything. We're going to be coming to you guys on Sunday with reactions from the NFC and the AFC Championship games. But that's going to be it for the stream today, guys. We'll talk to you later.